Now in this video, I'll start where I left off in the previous video, which is I will solve the problem to display and calculate the BMI and then proceed with string processing. So we have a problem. It says create a program that asks the user to enter the weight in kilogram, ask the user to enter the height in meters, then calculate the BMI. The BMI is the width or the weight over height square. So weight over height square. So let's go back and we remove these, all of them. So I want to ask the user, let's go back, enter the weight in kilogram. So I define a variable called weight, then input, then enter weight, and semicolon, and then a space. And I know that the weight can be a float. So from the beginning, I will cast it to be a float number. So this is the weight. Then I'll ask the user to enter the height. So float, input, enter height. And then we'll calculate the BMI. So we define it, the variable BMI. It is the weight divided by the height squared. So this is the exponent. So because the exponent has a higher precedence, I'll do the height square first. Then it will be weight divided by the height squared. And then I'll print out, for example, your BMI is, comma, BMI. So I can run, enter the weight, 100, enter the height in meters, 2, and then your BMI is 25.0. And of course here you can say more things. For instance, let's say I'll make it like bigger, for your height of, comma, then I'll display the height, comma, then and weight of, comma, display the weight, comma, BMI is. So let's see how this reads. So it will be for your height of, so this will be printed on the screen, then get the value of height and weight of, get the value of weight, your BMI is, get the value of BMI. So this is how you can put many strings in the same output and many values at the same time. So your weight 100 and your height is 2. Then for your weight, for your height of 2 and weight of 100, your BMI is 25. And you will see the example in the solution in the slides as well. This is the problem we solved already. And then we go into strings. So for strings, what we want to do, we want to solve the following problem. As I said in class, I will define a name variable, and I will say it is John Richard Smith. Okay, and eventually I want to do some code here, and then I want the output to be something like this. I'll put it as a comment because I don't want it to be compiled. I want the J in John to be uppercase. Richard, I want it to be the middle name only R dot, and the Smith, I want the S to be uppercase. So this is what I want the output eventually to be. I will put the Python code here for whatever the name is. I want to get the following output. Uh, uh, so in the middle now, I'll demo some of the examples in strings, and then eventually we'll make this problem. So initially there's something called indexing, and in indexing, given a string called Python, for example, there is an index for every character in the string. The index of the first character is 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. So let's assume, also I'll put them here as comments. So I will write them here. So let's assume the string is, for example, Python, and then the indices will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now if I want to print out, let me define the string str, which is Python, uppercase P, as it is in the slides. So Python, and this is uppercase P here. If I want to get the first character, for instance, I will say str at 0. So let me print out this, and this will give me the character at index 0. If you see here, the character at index 0 is P, so I will get the output P. If I want at index 2, so the P is 0, 1, 2, so it's the character at index 2 is the T. So the output will be T, and so on. Also, I can number them in a different way, although it's not very much used, but it is there for your information, which is the n will be -1. So I will have here like -1 will be the last one, the O will be -2, then -3, then -4. So let's see, -1, 2, 3, 4, -5, -5, and -6. Of course, here they will not align well, but you know that the index at -1 is the n. So for example, the string at -1 is the lowercase n, which is the last one on the string, the last element in the string. -2 is the O, and so on and so forth. So this is important because later on, one use of it is we take, for example, John or Richard and take the first character in Richard. So this will be this string at index 0. So this is called indexing when you want to index the string. And then we have something called slicing. Slicing is a little bit different. In slicing, the first one where you put the index, it gives you the character. So the feedback is the character. But what if I want to get a bunch of characters? So I want to get a string. So for instance here, Python, I want to get a substring of Python. Then instead of writing s at 0, I'll say 0 colon 2. So this means I want to extract all the characters that start at index 0 inclusive of index 1, which is the index that I put here -1. So in this case, I want to get the P and the Y because the index at 0 and the index at 1. I exclude the last character. Here, for instance, I want to get S at 0 from 0 to 1 inclusive. I want to concatenate it with the substring from index 2 to index 4 exclusive. So this will give me the S02 is the PY and the 24 is the TH because 0, 1, 2. So the 2 is the T and the 3 is the H. The 4 is exclusive, so I don't put the O inside. Uh, if you put, for example, here 2 colon and you don't put anything after it, so as if you're saying, I want everything from index 2 up until the end. The opposite, if you put nothing in the first index, as if you're saying everything from the beginning up until index 2. And also you can use negative numbers, but the idea remains the same, which is I want the character at index -2, then the character at index, the character at index -3, then the character at index -2, exclusive of the character -1. So let's give an example here. So for instance, I want to get 1 colon 3. So I will remove the minuses not to confuse us. So I want from 1 inclusive, so this is the Y, 2 inclusive, this is the T, 3 is not there, so it's Y and T. So the output will be Y and T. If I don't include the 3, so as if I'm saying I want everything from index 1 up until the end. If I want to put here 4, so as if I'm saying I want everything from the beginning up until index 4 exclusive. So this will give me P, Y, T, and H. So this is for the slicing, and there is a useful operator called in. it tells me if this substring is inside the string or not. So is a substring in a string or not, for instance. So I will say is the substring th in the string str? So this is supposed to give me true because th, which is this substring, is a substring of the string str. So in this case, this will give me true. If I said the, is it in the string str? This will give me false. So sometimes this is useful again when searching if there is if a substring exists somewhere. Uh, okay, regarding indices, you have to be careful when using indices. For example, if you have a certain string Python, and then you want to get an index that doesn't exist, this will give you index out of bounds. So here, Python, it has index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So if you ask for, I want the character at index number 6 or more, it gives you an error. This is not true if you're getting a certain slice or a certain substring. So if I said here I want everything from 2 to 20, although the string does not have an index 20, Python will ignore it. So as if you are saying I want everything from 2 up till the end of the character. Uh, Usually you shouldn't do that, but in case you did it, it will not complain. len is an important function that normally gives you the length of the string. So here, for example, if the string is Python, which is stored in S, I want to get the length of S. So this will give me the number of characters in Python. So I want, for example, here to print out the len, which is the length of str. str is the string of choice. So this will give me 6 because Python has 6 numbers. If I want the length of name, remember name is this name, this string here, run, then this will give me 18. So it will be, this means that there are 18 characters here. Something important to note. So this has 18 characters, but since the indices j starts at index 0, the last character will be at index the length minus 1. So the h will be at index 17. Similarly here, the length of the string str is 6, but the first index is at 0 and the last index, the n, is at 5. So if I want to get, for example, give me the last character in any string. So whatever the string is, let's say str, it is the length of str minus 1. Okay, so if we want to look at this, so I want the length of str, so this will give me 6 minus 1, so this part is 6 minus 1, this will give me 5, so I want the str at 5, so this will give me n, which is the last character in the string. uh, if I want to change the str to name, let's say I have name here, so I want the last character in name. So it will be similarly, I don't care how big it is, it will give me age. So it is the length of name minus 1, this will give me the last character. This might come in handy later on. And so these are, this one I will skip because I will include it in another, in the future chapters when I talk about lists. str capitalize, it will capitalize the first character in str and returns a copy of it. So str.capitalize returns a copy of the string with the first letter capitalized. So how I can use it here? Now all of it I'm using them in the print. So str, this is the string of interest, dot capitalize, and that's it. So this will return for me the string, actually P is already capitalized. Sorry, let me make it lowercase p. So this will give me Python with a P uppercase. But it will not overwrite str, remember. So if I want to print str, which is the original string is still the same. I didn't change it. Okay? So the original string here, str, is still Python. This really gives me a new string, a new copy of str where the first character is uppercase. So this is important to note. I will return this to P uppercase P. Ends with and starts with, it checks if the string str ends with a certain suffix or if the string str starts with a certain suffix. So to use it, we always start with the string of interest, which is str, dot starts with, and it gives me here, it's important, it gives me like what are the things that I can add, what are the parameters that starts with take, and normally I wanted to say, does it start with py? So does the string str start with py? The answer will be false because it starts with an uppercase p. But if I said, does it start with uppercase py, then the answer will be true. Similarly, if I want to use ends with for to check if the string ends with something. Now, what remains here is the start and end, because if I do not include anything, any numbers here, as if I'm saying check for me in the whole string str if py starts with if str starts with py. But let's assume I'm not interested in the whole str. I'm only interested in a substring of str. Let's say from 1 up until 4. Okay, from 1 to 4. So now this is a little bit different. So I'm saying uh, str is the string of interest, but not all of it. It's only the strings from 1 to 4. So it is from 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so does py start in this substring or not? Okay, the answer is definitely no. So this is false. But if I said yt, the answer will be yes. Okay, the same applies for ends with. Uh, str, find, and replace, these are extremely important. So the first one, it returns the lowest index in the string where the substring sub, which is this one, is found in the range of start to end. Start to end, similar to the previous one. If your interest is not the whole str, it is part of str, then you add start and end. Otherwise, my interest will be the whole substring. So find, it's like you're searching in Word. You are searching for something, so it it checks if sub is found inside str. Uh, so for example, uh, so let's have find. So str is the string of interest, and I want to find something in it, and I want to look for th. So when I run, this will give me a number, and this number will be the index of the t. So if I looked at Python, so the index of the t here is 2. So it tells me where does this substring start. If I said I want on, then this should give me the index of O. So the index of O, as you see, is 4. Where does it start? If I want to give you an example on name here above, if I want, so the string is not str, is name. I want to find on in name. So this is on is not in name, so this is supposed to give me -1 because it didn't find this substring. If I made a space, for instance, then it will give me what's the first index of space. The name John Richard Smith, it has 2 spaces, but it gives me the first one, which is this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the index of space is 4. So I know that the space is at index 4. If I want, for example, the second space, how will I do it? Now I will go ahead and use the start and end. So my interest now, let's assume it is from 5 up until the end. How do I know the end of the string? I can use length. Remember, length is the length of the string. So now I have the following here. So I am looking for space, not in the whole name. in the substring of name that starts at index 5, which is that starts with R and ends at H, okay? Which is, remember, the length is 18, but our interest will be exclusive of the 18. So this will give me 12. So I know that this space is at index 12 in the substring, which is going from 5 up until the end. Replace, it has a similar to find if you want to replace something. My interest is a string str. I want to search for the occurrences of this substring, which is I'm calling old, replace it with a new, and count, which is how many replacements do you want. If you keep it empty, it will replace all occurrences. If you say 1, it will only replace the first occurrence, 2, the first 2 occurrences, and so on. So how to use it? Also, I will remove all of this. And let's assume name because it has more characters. Dot replace. And I want to replace what? What is the old, what are you looking for to replace? Let's say I want to replace the H, okay? What do you want to replace it with? I want to replace it with X, Y, Z. How many? Here you put the count. If you don't put the count, I'm saying that I want to do this for all, okay? So I will have the H, you see they are changed into X, Y, X, Y, X, I put it, it's okay. But if I said I gave a count, let's say comma 1, then when I run, I am saying that I want to change only the first occurrence. If I said 2, it will change 2 occurrences. Okay, so this is for the replace. These are simple. str.isAlpha, it returns a true if all the characters are alphabetic in the string, which is called str. Is digit if all the string is composed of digits. Is lower if the string is all lowercase letters. Is upper also true or false if all the characters are uppercase. Let's test one of them because all of these are the same. So our interest, let's say it is name, the string name. If I said is lower, and the bracket, don't forget the bracket. So is name composed of all lowercase letters? So this will give me true. But if I said is it digit, so this will give me false because name is not composed of digits. The same as we said, is it is alpha? So is alpha, which is alpha, the alpha characters. So this will also give me false because there's a space. A space is not considered. But if I said str, which is Python, this is supposed to give me true because all of these are characters which is from A to Z, lowercase or uppercase. And the last one in strings, it's lower and upper. This changes the string, not it changes, returns a copy of the string composed of all lowercase letters. And the second one gives a copy with all the characters uppercase. So here, if I said I want str dot upper, so as if I am creating a copy of str where all the elements are uppercase letters. Remember, str doesn't change even if I do that because this whole thing returns a copy of str that is all uppercase. In all the string operations, always a copy is returned. The original string remains the same. Unless, so unless you decide to change the string yourself. So you can say I want str to be equal to str.upper. And then if you print str, then I will get str to be Python all in uppercase because now I changed str. So this returns for me a string which is in uppercase. I put it in str. So now str does not contain Python where only the P is uppercase. Now it contains Python where everything is uppercase. So this ends the chapter about string functions. We're gonna use these functions. So I will remove all of this now. We will remove these functions in order to solve the problem, which is given a name, and better yet, we'll start with a fixed name, and then we'll ask the user to enter a name. So we can you can see that our our code is going to work really for any input, regardless what the input is, as long as the input is composed of three strings. I will stop here and I will keep the solution in a video on its own.